All right. Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is June 8th. It is episode 473. I hope everybody's doing well. It is a Monday morning. I hope your weekend was well. And I appreciate everybody being here. Congratulations to all of you that did some amazing things this weekend, whether it be in your business or be in your personal life. I'm sure we had some amazing opportunities for growth and for some incredible memories. So as we get started this morning, especially right now in this time, I would encourage us to go ahead and send out our conversations of light, of love, of joy, of places and to people that you know that are important, people that you believe in, people that make a difference in your life. I would encourage you to go send those out. And I would send out more than 3. Right, the world is hurting a little bit, and it's hurting a lot, and it needs if you can do more to bring it some value, bring it some joy, that would be a great thing, because right now the world needs folks like you, individuals like you who are wildly filled with love, of joy, of gratitude, of peace, of learning. You know things that others don't. You're feeling things that others can't. You're seeing things in a way others might not be choosing to see at this time. So I would encourage you to to give a little bit more, as much as you might be stressed or fatigued or wore out. It's because you're running off of your battery, and the battery is the old story. There, a certain amount of life comes from a life force, and that life force that you have is something that is from the inside of you. It's from the desire of you. So, yeah, I would just encourage you to send out some as many as you can, as often as you can, throughout your day. Just send out smiley faces, hearts, love, joy. And when you get that done, drop a D in the chat. That would be awesome. If anyone's new here on this call for the very first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Drop an N in the chat. We'd love to welcome you, send you some hearts and some gratitude. Appreciate you being here. Let's see here. Got lots of people jumping in. Just got to approve them all. So appreciate everybody being here.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Good morning. And RBP, I know you had a late night yesterday. Can you say a little blessing over us for all of us this morning if you got a chance?
I would love to. Will you watch The Waiting Room?
I got it.
Okay, hang on just a second. Let me get over here. Okay, I'm going to leave my camera off.
Yep.
Heavenly Father, thank you for waking us all up again today. Thank you for giving us this place together. Thank you for the family that we have here today. Thank you for each home. Thank you for breath in our lungs. Thank you for the sleep that you granted us last night, the healing you did in our bodies and in our minds and in our hearts. Father, open our hearts up to hear exactly what it is you have for us today. Let it settle in exactly where it needs to, and help us to hear you develop that through us all day long. Take over our thoughts and our mouths. Help us to say exactly what it is we need to say. Help us to get out of the way so you can use our voice and we can grow, and you can mold us and help us to grow through this time, understand through these times, and walk through these times in love and in joy. Help us to search for your love and your joy constantly so we can spread that to every person we come in contact with. Thank you for these moments right now. I lift up Sean. I ask that you touch his heart and his mind. Have him get out of the way so he can say what it is you're putting on his heart, so it'll minister to each one of us. Guard him and his family, a hedge of protection around them. And we just thank you for this precious day. We say all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rhonda. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having an amazing start to your week. And here's the question. Are you alive or are you surviving? I was asked to be on a panel here this coming Thursday with Tiffany Malott and talking about some current things that are happening. And I was honored to be asked to be on the call. And so it got me thinking, we're in a profession where we can choose whether we're alive or we're surviving. All too often we get involved in this profession of MLM, me loving more, mentors leading mentors, and too many people survive. And what I mean is that too many people wind up in a survival mode. I need to get one more. I need to go get this. I need to do that. And it causes a lot of stress. Well, I think beyond a shadow of a doubt, the level of stress around the globe has been raised to new levels. And yet we still need to have a concept, be aware of, we need to do things to take care of our business. And so are we surviving our business or is our business alive? And the business that we're in is building people. So yesterday, some of you probably did a very good job building your people. Not building your business, building your people. As mentors, as leaders, and the word mentor gets used an awful lot, way too often, and given to too many people who don't deserve it, the term mentor. I want you to be aware of that because right now we do need mentors. A mentor is somebody who allows you to walk away with their wisdom. A mentor is somebody who will teach you how to do things you didn't know you could do. We've had a couple of strong, love-filled conversations in this community based upon who I am and who you are. There's a lot that is doesn't make sense. But the one thing that will always make sense is choosing to be alive. Choosing to be alive and help others to have life. This distraction of losing our way. This isn't about right or wrong. I get it. This is about you being alive so that you can do right, so that you can do more of what you need to do. Your voice can be heard. You sit across from a prospect today. I don't know about your business, but I can tell you my business is growing every day. And 90% of my business, they are not me. 95% of my business. Why do I say that? Because there's a responsibility that you take on as an enroller, as a sponsor. Your conversations may change. They probably need to change if they haven't already. They probably are already changing if they haven't already, based upon you helping people to move over to being alive. If you were going to be alive today, how much of you would you want to be alive? Type it in the chat. 10%, 20%, 50%, 80%. How much of you would you want to be alive if you were to type it in the chat? Now, I'm going to caution you because I see the 100%. I get it. I understand it. The key to understanding this is that if you're alive, how much of the 100% are you responsible for? If you're responsible for all 100%, responsible, the possibility, are you responsible? Responsibility. Here's the challenge. Many of you have gone on to enroll people. Many of you have sat down across from people to have a conversation with them. And you talk to them about their business. You talk to them about their life. You talk to them about introducing them to your business model, to your ideas, to your ideals, to your system of success. And then how many of you, how many of you believe you give a good presentation? It can always be better, but how many of you, if you believe you give a good presentation, good enough for somebody to say yes to, type a G in the chat. And here's why I ask this. If you believe you give a good enough presentation and they say no, they say, I don't have money, I don't have time, how much of them is alive? Follow me on this. Well, there's a part of them that's alive. It could be 99%. My question is that, are you responsible for their decision? And this is going to throw you all. The answer is yes. Follow me on this. Follow me. They are absolutely responsible for their decision. But do you not make a choice when they say no? Are you not responding when they say no? Responsibility is the ability to respond. Follow me on this. Follow me. I'm not responsible for whether they do it or not, but I am responsible for how I respond. There's a difference. I'm responsible to me. So if I'm responsible to me, yeah, do I get sad? Do I get mad? Do I get frustrated? Do I say, I don't know why they don't get it? See, when we can take responsibility for ourselves, when somebody says no, how about when somebody leaves our business? How many of us go, oh, well, they weren't doing anything anyways? We come up with a story to justify our feeling. We're not being responsible to us. Where does the line of responsibility start and end? Follow me on this. Exactly, with us. If they say no, are we not responsible? Do we not have a responsibility to their result, to their decision? So if we become responsible to ourselves, our ability to respond to ourselves, how much of, if we decide to lose our way, to get frustrated at them because they say no, did they take some of our life force? Follow me on this. When somebody spills a bowl of milk, a young child knocks a bowl off the table. We try to do our best to give them the dry little cereal circles, right? If the child knocks how many of us have ever seen a young child throw a plate every time we pick it up, and they throw it because they want our attention? Do we not have a responsibility? Our ability to respond. Do we not have a responsibility? Our ability to respond. So therefore, we can either do one of two things. We take away the bowl, or sometimes we might get mad. When somebody decides to join our business and then not do anything, do we not have a responsibility, our ability to respond? And if we respond out of our nature, follow me on this, if we respond out of our nature, does that not take our life force away? Do we not live at less than 100%? Because if we respond in a way that loses us our joy, are we not in survival mode? Now, is there a place in time that these ideals, worthy pursuit of an idea that we just talked about, would ever lose their truth? How about if a now this is going to get a little, we're going to touch on some hot topics here. What if your significant other cheats on you? Do you have a responsibility? Your ability to respond? What if a best friend promises to pick you up at the airport and they don't? Do you have a responsibility? There isn't. This is sunlight and daylight. It's either all or nothing. There are no vague gray areas in this conversation. Because if you choose to be, how alive do you want to be? How alive do you want to be? Is it okay if somebody takes 2% of your joy away? And how well can you act from a state of not joy? How many times, listen, I'm going to tell on my own self. There are times when I get mad when somebody goes, I can't believe you said that. And I go, said what? And they go, you said this, this, and this. And I'm like, who said what? You said that. Bull ass. Dude, you don't remember? I said that? Yeah. I was shocked. Why is that? Because the amygdala fires up. There's a whole chemical reasons behind this. They can prove this with MRIs, the way our body operates. And we lose our mind. Anybody ever say to you, you've lost your mind? If anybody's ever said to you, you've lost your mind, A, you have, but they don't know whether you've lost it or found it. What they're really saying is that the memory I have of you is not this. If all of a sudden, how many of you know somebody, how many of you have ever come across somebody that, I don't know, they're from Georgia, and all of a sudden they travel to Europe for a week and they come back with a European accent, and you're like, why are you talking like that? Well, I can't do a European accent, but I could do an Irish accent. Oh, top of the afternoon, why are you talking like that? What do you mean, why am I talking like that? I've always talked like that. And all of a sudden they're trying to talk like they got an accent. I'm like, what? Have you lost your mind? See, all too often, we want to change. We want to be exotic. We want to be unique. I can tell you this, when your full joy shows up, when your 100% of life shows up, there is nothing else you have to be. This is where the stress resides in us right now. This is where the stress is being pushed into us right now. It is taking us out of our joy. Follow me on this. We have a responsibility, our ability to respond. Something falls off the floor. Something falls off the table and on the floor. And it's I don't know. It's a jelly donut, and it falls jelly side down, sticking to the floor. You have a choice, don't you? You can say, I don't see it. It's not my fault. I didn't knock it down. Are you not responsible? Follow me on this. The ability to respond. You can choose not to pick it up, but it is still a response. You can pick it up. That's a response. You can clean it up. That's a response. How many of you have ever done something that somebody else did and you went and fixed it? Was it your responsibility? There's a difference. Responsibility is blame. They did that. They did this. They're responsible for that. I'm talking about your responsibility, your ability to respond. This isn't about placing blame. This is about you, the individual, the 113 that are on here that are listening to this, about you taking care of you so you can go help others. Is not your business start from you down? I hear all the time in this profession in the last 22 years, well, they haven't put anybody in my business. Well, they're not supposed to put anybody in your business. This is your business. It's your responsibility, your ability to respond to the learning methods, the teaching methods, the training methods. Somebody says some mean things about you on social media. Don't you have a responsibility? Not to them, to yourself. This is about self-responsibility. That's what makes this profession a challenging profession for many individuals. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Elizabeth. This is what makes this profession a challenge to the individual, because responsibility shows up daily. So you can hide in a crowd at work. You can hide in a crowd at work. You can go into work and go, man, you're going to have to cover for me today. They say the average employee does about 2 hours of work a day. Some of you know those employees. Some of you are picking up the slack for those employees. If you know any folks that might slack a little bit at their work, type an S in the chat. And it's because of your responsibility. Follow me on this. It's because of your responsibility that you feel, what's the word I'm looking for? You feel not required. You feel responsible to do more. You can do more. You do more. Did I say do? You do more. But is not your taking action being responsible for them? Not to them. For them? Because you see a bigger picture. So why wouldn't you sit there and go, well, if they're not doing it, I'm not doing it? Because second grade mentality doesn't work in society. Some people think it does. It does not. You know the difference. Somebody of your caliber who gets on this call, somebody of your caliber who gets on Nano's call, somebody of your caliber who works every day to sharpen your saw, understands that you have a huge responsibility. Here's the hard part. Here's the hard part. The responsibility is to you and you alone. This is tough conversation. Listen, somebody's house is on fire. God forbid, somebody's house is on fire. Should they come throw water on your house? Why? Well, I don't want my house to burn. The fire's got to get put out. They're responsible to the individual where the fire is. If you can do something to help it, yes, but it doesn't make your house on fire. So if their house is on fire, you should go light yours on fire too, so that you get the fire department over to your house? When somebody sits across from you as a prospect and talks about not having money, does the idea of you not having money show up? Remember, we're operating at a subconscious level. We're conscious of 3,000 to 5,000 thoughts a day. We're conscious of 3% of our world. Follow me on this. Your entire world only consumes about 3% of your brain's energy. So what's going on in our world, this thing called our brain, this thing called our body, this thing called our life, the other 97%, we're not even aware of what's going on. Is not your body your world? Is not your mind your world? Follow me on this. Follow me. If 97% of your world called your memory, your mind, your action, your thoughts, your entire universe called you are unaware of. Is it possible? Is it possible that things can get triggered inside of you that you don't know? How many of you are familiar with the phenomenon of epigenetics? Now, I can tell you, if you live up north, you know this. Why? Because the seasons change. How many of you, if it went to 40 degrees today, you'd be grabbing jackets, but in February, if it turned 40 degrees, you'd be out in shorts and a t-shirt. How is that possible? Because your body adapts. Your body is under control based upon its environment. Joe Dispenza talks about your personal reality makes up your personality. When you have a responsibility to you, when you become responsible to you, your personality makes up your personal reality. You have, if you choose, you have a commitment to the future. That's the only place you can influence change. How many of us have ever been in a discussion with a prospect? Follow me on this. How many of us have ever been in a discussion with a prospect that started to sound like a debate? I didn't go to university. I didn't go to college, so I was never part of the debate team, although I did do a lot of dialoguing in high school. Imagine that. But how many of you have ever gotten to a debate with a prospect and you're like, they just don't get it. They just absolutely don't get it. But how many of you have ever sat with the Stephen Covey method? Seek first to understand, then be understood. How many of us, if we sit with a prospect, if we've recognized a pattern before? Ladies, when you have a conversation with another female looking to join your business, how many of you have ever been able to, again, this is your first conversation, how many of you have ever been able to have a dialogue with them and you can tell their heart's been broken before, and that was never part of the conversation? You can tell their heart's been broken, and all of a sudden you say something to them to say, I'm sorry. And they're like, what? And all of a sudden you've just cracked open this level of rapport because they've been hurt in all of this conversation. So now all of a sudden you sit there and you say, your dialogue changes. What you talk about changes. So I say that to say, as you sit today, as you sit with the awareness that the way you prospect from today forward is never going to be the same. It was never going to be the same because of COVID. It just wasn't. And I said back in March, I said, there's going to be some things that come out of this. There's going to be a spark that's going to happen. That's because people have lost their place to put authority in. You know why it's hard for people to join our profession and succeed? Follow me on this. It's easy to join our profession. It's easy to start a business for $200, $400, $1,000. It's easy to start a business for that. You know what makes it hard? The responsibility. So you're responsible to give them all of the information they need. You're responsible to give them a system that makes sense. If your system makes sense, whatever business you're in, there's probably 15 different companies on here. If your business model makes sense, drop a $sign in the chat. And in doing so, follow me on this. So does the system fail or do they fail? We're all going to, well, they failed. They didn't follow the system. No, they decided to not decided to not be responsible. See, their ability to respond to the business model is why they fail, not because you failed them. Now, you may not have given them all of the secrets, tips, tricks, and all of that. Well, I can't do what a Nano does. I can't do what a Sean does. I can't do what a Leo does. Why not? Well, because you're not them. So then here's the tough question. Can you do what you can do? Right? A.L. Williams in this famous speech, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is all you can do. That's all you can do. Are you doing all you can do for you? Can you do more for you? See, you have a responsibility. What's happening in society right now, COVID, the riots, are you responsible for that? Follow me on this. This is tough. But if you're not responsible for the person, if you have a response about the person who's sitting across from you from a prospect, oh, Sean, that's different though. Is it? Is it? Here's my question. How many times have you heard about somebody who came in, mortgaged their house to get involved in this business? Because if you haven't heard that, I have. And it's ridiculous how many times I've heard that. They've mortgaged their house. The Zeke Rewards, they mortgaged their house and they did all of this and the whole thing turned out sideways. I had a nutritional company I was mentoring people in 20 years ago. It was 120 grand to get started. And part of the 120 grand was a mini warehouse facility, storage facility, a 20 by 20 facility to put all of the products in. They got started, they mortgaged that, they failed. Lots of people failed. Why? Because responsibility. Was not the owner responsible for them? Yes. Responsible in a way to do their best to inform them, to guide them. Are you not responsible? Do you not have a responsibility, your ability to respond to everybody who joins you? Can we get better? Yes. Am I good at it? I suck at it. I'm getting better every day. I work on it every day. But what is your responsibility? It's your ability to respond. And if your ability to respond determines whether you're alive or surviving, which would you choose? How much of life do you want to be living? It's my question. Are you going to be alive or are you going to survive? How many of you have actually been able to be alive in life. Tell me the moments when you're alive. Describe them in the chat. What moments are you alive in life? What might you be doing? But what happens, Cravan, if you're reaching out to people and they say no? Does that take away your life? If you're running and you twist an ankle, does that take away your joy? If you walk down the Vernon Trail and get stung by a bee, does it take away your joy? Do you see how my question is to not say that it goes away? You could still be running, but if you twist your ankle, don't you have a responsibility, your ability to respond to it? To be in love and joy with the pain? How easy are we taken out of things where we feel that we're, that's not my responsibility. If you lived an entire hour in joy, do you think your life would change? Have you been in life-changing moments? And if we understand the system that we're in, if we understand the business model we're in, we get paid for two things. Who knows the two things we get paid for? Somebody's got to be on here long enough to know the two things we get paid for in our business model.
Finding
Can I
customers
answer?
and building leaders.
Yes.
So the two things we get paid for are finding customers and building leaders. See, that's the company's responsibility to us. They will respond in like accordance to our actions. See, the company is not responsible for you to grow your business. They're not responsible for you to pay your auto ship. They are responsible to you for only two things, and two things, that's it. Finding customers and building leaders. So understanding the criteria that you put yourself in, understanding where you have decided to receive your income from. If you're not doing one of those two activities, you're not having the appropriate response, your ability to respond to you. Wait a minute, weren't we just an all feely, touchy, warm, woo-woo kind of conversation? How did this become cutthroat business? This isn't about cutthroat business. This is about you taking care of you. How many of you right now, how many of you on this call could go donate $50,000 to a charity? How many of you could go donate $25,000 to a small business that got destroyed? Maybe a friend of yours' businesses got destroyed. Some of you probably know business owners whose businesses got destroyed. How many of you could go donate $25,000 to them to help them get started? Now, Leo, if I was part of the media, your sister's business got destroyed because she's part of the problem, right? You and I both know that's not the case. But the only reason that an eye for an eye works is because she must have done something wrong. Did your sister do something wrong? We all know she didn't do anything wrong. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Here's my point. Well, and follow me on this. We give them the name looters, but weren't they human beings? Misguided human beings? But are we not responsible for them? We do. We have an ability to respond to them. Now, remember, this, Leo, my heart breaks for your sister. I don't know what kind of business it is, but it matters not what kind it was. It was her business. It was her livelihood. It was a service she provided to bring value to others. And somebody took that away from her. But we have a choice. Your sister is a human being. Your sister is probably absolutely beside herself. But that's a response she's doing. Can she fix stuff from that place? She can get into action. She can get into robot mode. But how many of us, I promise you, here's a phrase that probably came out of your sister's mouth because it came out of my friend's mouth, who's still recovering in the hospital because he was beaten to just inches from death, had a pharmacy in California, beaten, still recovering from the hospital, entire business taken away, entire livelihood taken away. You know what I know what came out of your sister's mouth? How many of you want to guess what came out of Leo's sister's mouth? How many of you want to guess what came out of my mouth when my house was destroyed and everything and every bit of belongings that we had, every bit of objects we had was destroyed? We still have our life. We're still alive. All right? That's what my buddy said. You know what? I'm still alive. I can fix all of that stuff. My point is this. When the stuff hits the fan, you got to decide, did you throw it and did you turn on the fan? If you didn't throw it and you didn't turn on the fan, anything other than you having a responsibility for you to stay alive doesn't change the story. When you decide to stay alive and you decide to be able to act in love, act from joy, you can change the world. What does Einstein say the definition of insanity is? I'd ask you, what is being repeated in your world? Your world, you, the individual listening. What can you do to change your world? Here's the thing. How many of you, upon becoming what Wallace D. Wattles would say, rich, it's your right to be rich. How many of you, if all of a sudden your income went to $10,000, $25,000 a month, how many of your current list of friends might get a little jealous of you? They'd be happy for you, right? But what do those memes say? The people you're around should be the ones clapping loudest for you when you win. Some of you have a group of friends that might not be so happy if all of a sudden, or if you won the lottery, how many new friends do you think you might have that you didn't have before? Some of them may not have wanted to do anything with you. Can you live in a state of lottery right now? Can you live in a state of joy that as if you had it? Because I promise you, if you did, if you do, your world will be different. The people you hang around would be different. Some of you, because of being on calls every day, some of you, because of being on calls every day, you've decided that some of the friends you hang around aren't necessarily the ones you want to hang around. And you haven't figured out how to tell them no yet. So I say all of this to say, in this moment, you have a responsibility. You have an ability to respond. Then you have the next choice. Are you going to respond in survival mode or being in alive mode? And if you respond in survival mode, who wins? If you get into survival mode, who wins when you step into survival mode? Does your family win when you step into survival mode? Do your kids win when you're in survival mode? But you don't understand everything that's happening around. You're right, I don't. I can't. I just don't, I can't even put myself there. I don't know how to put myself there. So for me to assume that I can understand anything, can appreciate anything of all of the tragedies and the pain and the horror and the suffering, I can't put myself in Leo's spot with his sisters losing her business. I've lost businesses. I've had people die in my arms on industrial accidents. Head split open. Right there, last breath in my arms. The only people that can understand that are people who've had people die in their arms from an industrial accident or a car wreck. Do you choose to be alive? And how much of your day can you be alive with? How much of your life is worth being alive for? Who is waiting on you to wake up? How many of you believe there's more life in you? How many of you believe you can live at a higher level? How many of you have ever turned the TV off because you were like, oh, that's just, I can't listen to that anymore? So now the question is if you can't listen to that, which part of you is saying, I can't listen to that? Which part of you is saying, this is not worthy of me? Each of you are world changers, thought leaders. What does it take to step away from the crowd? It takes the most unbelievable courage. You stepped into this profession, you stepped away from the crowd, you stepped away from what your parents have said, I don't know what you're doing, it's crazy, go get a job. My mother, up until I was in the business, let's see, 22, 15, 13 years. I'd already stepped on stages around the world. I was already the vice president of a $200 million network marketing company, a publicly traded company. I was the face of the company. You know what day was one of the happier days for my mom? My first job ever was to be the vice president of sales of a $200 million company. I told my mom, I go, they want to hire me. She says, oh, finally. Finally. They can't get out of their own way. That you can't fault them for seeing the way they see things. I have to ask you, though, the 150 of you that are on here, are you average? Are you herd-like in your mentality? There's two ways to have the tallest building in town. Build yours bigger, or do what you do to Leo's sister's place. Tear everybody else's down. See, that's the challenge with some people. They say, it's okay as long as it's not in my front yard. If it's in my front yard, I'll take responsibility. No, 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 no. When it shows up in your front yard, that's finding a place to give blame. They did that. I absolutely have a responsibility to everything that's going around in the world. Because of my reach, I'll get calls from people who are around the world saying, I need help. I have a responsibility to them. I have an ability to respond to them, to keep myself in joy so that I can be there when they need help. I would encourage you to have a similar responsibility. your ability to respond. Because what's happening now will show up in your business in 6 months. See, people aren't really thinking about a future. They're thinking about a past. When we get mad, we're getting mad about something in the past. If Mason fails a class in school and I get mad, the failing has already happened. When somebody dings my car in the parking lot and I walk out and find it, it's already happened. How many people do you know get mad over a scratch in their car for months? The question is, if it's in your backyard, does your respond? My actions may change. This is the difference. There's responsibility, who's to blame, but there's always my ability to respond. My action is what changes. I can take action if I need to take action here. But my ability to respond is always the same. So as you go through this day, as you start this day, as you start this Monday, we could have said this in November of last year. Is this Monday different than any other Monday that's ever existed in time and space? The answer is yes. If I were to ask that question today, we might look at it completely different. We might add things into today's Monday that don't need to be added into today's Monday, because today's Monday is unique. It is unbelievable. It has a possibility. So how much possibility, how much of today is limited? Follow me on this. Yeah. How much possibility do each of you have today? Each of you listening to this, the 149 of you listening to infinite possibility, unlimited possibility. Follow me on this. I love every one of your souls. If you have unlimited possibility, how many times today will you let the universe limit you, fractionalize you, point fingers, add blame to this world? If you have unlimited possibility, endless possibility, be aware of yourself. Take a survey on yourself today. See how many times stories put you in a limited possibility. Fractionalize your thinking. Some of you have the cure to the next to this disease in our society. Some of you have the cure, and today it might not pop up because you will be fractionalized in your thinking. You are all geniuses. Listen, do you want to know? Joseph Campbell talks about the journey, the hero's journey. Follow me on this. You all ready? How many of you would be okay with having your mind blown today, right now, in the next 2 minutes? Let me know if it'd be okay to just blow your mind to something you already know. So let me tell you about this creature I was reading about the other day. How many of you know that there's animals out there that are totally water breathing? And then inside of 30 seconds, what would you call this creature, this being, if they went from water breathing and inside of 30 seconds, 45 seconds, they no longer breathe water, but instantly breathe air? Would you not call that a miracle? Would you not call that absolutely just the insane? I mean, it's I don't know if that's possible. Let me let you in on a little secret. That's you, the miracle. Exactly. You go from a water breather to an air breather just like that. And you tell me that there's not something special inside of you, that you can be fractionalized, you can be brought down to into the gutter, into rage when you have done something that is absolutely miraculous? You had a heart before you had a brain. You're one of 500 million sperm that made it, that wagged your tail 18,000 times to get up the fallopian tube. And all of a sudden, you are the champion of champions. How many of you have been in a race with 500,000, 500,000 other people, and you won? What would they do if you started a race right now? 500,000 go to run the New York Marathon, and you win. Wouldn't they be building statues to you? And you think you're this limited being. Championship is already in your world. Being a champion of champions is already part of your DNA. And you're doing what? You're worrying about somebody saying no to you in your business? How short is your success? There's 2 times we die in life: the day they bury us and the last time your name is mentioned. How long is your name going to be mentioned? How long should your legacy, how long should your chain-breaking legacy live on? You are an absolute genius. You're an absolute champion of champions. And some of us have let people take that championship away from us because we've gone into survival mode, not being alive mode. We've decided to not be 100% to our responsibility, to us. You have a gift that is inside of you called a champion. Yeah, you've got some scars. You've got some scars on you. I get it. Listen, if you want to, I want to get your scars. I want to hear your scars. I want you to reach out to me. If you go to SeanGMurphy.com, there's a tag in there just below my picture, which has got to get a little smaller because that's freaky when I look at it. But it's called 52 Scars My Friends Have. And it's going to be a weekly little email that comes out with a video that talks about people who have scars and how they got through it. And I'd love to tell the world about the scar you carry. Evelyn, who's on here, it still gives my body chills when she remembers that her mother, listen to me, y'all. Her mom said to her when she was a child, I don't know that you could die correctly because you would eat the candles. Can you imagine the scar that leaves on a child? Some of you have those same scars. I want to tell your story because we're sometimes too afraid to tell our own story. Let me tell it with you. Let me tell it for you. Because every one of you is here to inspire the world. You're already a champion. 500 million you beat out and you won. 18,000 times you wagged your little tail to get up the tube and you showed up, and this is who you are, and you're going to be limited by some news station? Mother Teresa said, don't ever invite me to a war on peace, a march on war. Invite me to a march on peace, I'm there. What do we all say? How many of us feel for Leo's sister? But how many of us will get off this call and go, man, that sucked. Leo's sister is still dealing with it. This is what happens when we lose our minds. This is what happens when we stay out of joy and we get into survival mode. I don't know if this has been valuable this morning. I can tell you this. I need you. Every one of you from around the world. I need you. I need you to be in a state. I need you to be in a place that allows you to have more, do more, be more. Because the world is hurting. But you jumping into the pit and falling on the spears, getting cut by the knives, doesn't give anyone hope. You standing strong, you standing in your place, you standing in your place of honor, of responsibility, people will find a way to try to shoot at you and find a fault with you. Why aren't you mad like I am? Because I choose to be responsible. How many of you have ever tried to feed your child when it's mad? How many of you have ever tried to feed your child when you're mad? And you poke them in the eye, and instantly you come out of your rage. See, all of this is fun and games. What do we say? It's all fun and games till somebody gets hurt. Well, somebody in our family here has gotten hurt, and we just heard about it. Leo's sister. Some of you may have even gotten hurt while you're marching or doing whatever it was you're doing. Maybe you have a friend. I have a friend who's still in the hospital. He's recovered. He's not out yet. But you know what? His splinter, his plank in his eye is nothing compared to the splinter in mine. The responsibility that would serve you well today is to start with you, to be the example. This isn't about right and wrong. This is about you taking care of you so that you can do more of what you want. You all deserve to be in a place of peace. And in the herd, we see it in stadiums, we see it in places. People get run over, they get hurt, and then we say, I'm sorry. You can't unring a bell. If things have to change, tell me what's changed. Let's rewind everything, and we can go back to previous years. Does this look any different? How is this change? And I'm talking about your life. How many of us are doing what we've already done? We've already done something similar. It's time for you to step into your greatness. You're already a champion. Your voice needs to be heard. It needs to be one that shows other people they can have what you have, not give them a way to take away what you have. I get frustrated because people have taken away your joy. That's them stealing from me. When they take your joy, that steals from me in our relationship. I've got to get better. That's how I see it. I've got to get better. I've got to get louder. I've got to get a little bit more vocal. I've got to help you have more of what you want and less of what you don't. Your life is valuable. Don't let somebody teach you how to live it in a way that puts you in survival mode. There is a greatness inside of you. You are the leaders of what's coming. You are the leaders of what's coming. And everybody says, no matter who they are, great leaders have great hearts. I would encourage you to not fractionalize who you are as a human being. Man, woman, white, brown, black, yellow, green, purple. Your heart is a good heart. Heart vibration is stronger than mind vibration. The challenge is that the brain becomes what we focus on. I'd fall back in love with you today. I'd fall back in love with the prayers you can say. I'd fall back in love with the joy that you have the ability to do. You have a responsibility to your family. You have a responsibility to your team. You have a responsibility to your society. And the responsibility is how you respond, your ability to respond to your community. If you were hurting and didn't know where to turn for help, wouldn't it serve you well to have somebody who knew how to help you? You're that person. You're that champion. Don't forget the greatness that championship is already wired into your DNA from before you had any consciousness. You're one of 500,000, and the number might even be higher. But you are a champion. You found another group of champions who are just like you, who have the ability to be amazing just like you. And together, high tide, you can raise all of the boats. I think your level of conversation can save the world. And for that, I'm grateful. It's an honor to know you. I would encourage you to look back at the greatness you've already done, the greatness you've already achieved, because what lies inside of you is even greater. So here's what I will say to you on this day. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to show up every day. Thank you for having the courage to find somebody, to ask for a mentor, to find a nano, to find your sponsor, to find your team, to say, what if? Because here's what I know. The what if that sits inside of you will change the way we see the world. And it will bring more joy, and it'll bring more gratitude, and it'll bring more greatness. And you are the only one that can be the example for you. We talk about all the time in network marketing. If your team did what you did today, would you be happy? My question is if the world did what you did today, would you be happy? You're each amazing geniuses. My life is so much better. My responsibility has gotten so much better. My ability to respond has gotten so much better for knowing each of you. And some of you, it's our first time together. Some of you, it's been a lifetime together. I would encourage you to take the next 10, 20 minutes, breathe in life to yourself, realize your greatness, realize what people are looking to take from you, and look at what they're wanting to replace it with. Is that your level of worthiness? Because you can create an army of 100,000 and change the world. You can create an army of 2 and change the world. You are doing something that allows you to create resources to change the world, to create a community to change the world. Most people don't know how to do that. You're teaching people not how to take money from people, but how to teach people how to give money to people. That is a worthy goal. That is a worthy ideal. That is a pursuit that I think is worthy of your energy. And for that, I say thank you. I appreciate you. I would love to hear about your scars. I would love for you to start to listen to the 52 scars, the sessions. Go to SeanGMurphy.com and sign up for it. What you're going through right now, I want to hear those stories. I want to tell those stories to the world, because you may not have the ability for your audience to ever hear your story in a way. My audience needs to hear that. And together we can go have an incredible day. I appreciate you on this Monday. Nano, if you're still here, brother, I thank you for leading the world, for making the world a better place, a brighter place. And I'm going to send you all off with an amazing hope and gratitude. Rhonda, are you still here?
I am.
Can I get you to say a blessing for everybody and me?
Oh, yes, I would love to. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for what Sean has brought to us. Thank you for a different way of looking at things, a different way to see things. Thank you for giving us the kind of brain that can wrap around a different thought. And it's driven by a heart that you've created, that you've put in us. Help us to find our heart more often. Help us to speak from our heart more often. Help us to clean out of our heart what doesn't need to be there, that doesn't serve us in loving others and serving others. You said, out of the mouth, the heart speaks. Help us to change our hearts, to find the love center that you have created, and to speak from there, and to choose joy, and to stand up for our loved ones, and to help them to see there's a path to choose joy and to choose love. Help us to walk in that fiercely and in such a love that runs so deep that we are capable of responding, not reacting. Give us the words quickly on our tongues so we can say what it is you would have us to say, to lift up the other person, whether they're walking beside us or coming at us. Help us to take a moment to collect our thoughts so that you can touch our hearts, and our hearts will come out through our words. Father, help us to control our tongue. It takes a supernatural force to control our tongue. The tongue is stronger than a rudder on a ship. I ask a special prayer over every person's tongue here, that you control it, you slow it down, you keep it from slicing others and from ruining relationships or saying harsh words that can never be taken back. I pray a blessing over every household here. I ask for abundant blessings and love and joy and safety and finances and peace. Fall upon us, Father. Help us to see it as you fall so we can sit in your gratitude. Help us to be grateful and thankful throughout the day. Thank you for Sean and his boldness and his place of love and joy that he provides for us to show up when we aren't necessarily in the same place, but we can see how to get there. Thank you for protecting him and his family. Thank you for protecting each one of us here. Those of us that have had loved ones that are being strongly affected right now in every situation. Father, help us to exhale fear and doubt and inhale faith and courage, and to hold their hands and to help them see how to come out of this and how to see a blessing from this. You say, consider all trials and tribulations a blessing, a place of honor. It's a place that you'll grow us. Father, I hear you asking for Leo to just let him know that there is comfort, there is peace, to turn all this frustration over his sister over to you, and that you'll build this bigger and better than it ever has been. And let this storefront that will be rebuilt, or whatever it is that you'll build, be a beacon of light to those around. A beacon of light that you're here with us now. Father, thank you for your grace and for your mercy, and help us to extend that to others. Help us to get out of the way and let you extend that to others through us. And it might even be a moment where we don't even know what we're doing, and we get to learn from that as well. Father, thank you for this place of silence and this place of love and of joy. I pray a prayer of protection. Father, put your angels, your 12-foot angels, all around each person here as they walk through whatever it is they walk through today. Thank you for a voice to lift up to you. Place a song in every heart here and in my heart, so that we may sing to you like the birds and the animals sing. I thank you for this moment. I thank you for this time of meditation of almost a couple hundred people or whatever's here together on the same vibration, on the same thought, on the same words. Thank you for the power that's in that, and help us to hang on to that as we go our separate ways. Let us be light providers, joy givers, spreading hope, grace, and mercy and love. We say all this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm your head misfit. I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Y'all send some love to each other.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Have
Have an amazing day, Misfits.
Love y'all.
Great day, guys.
Love you, family.
Bye, everybody. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Have a blessed day,
Have a great
guys.
day.
Love, love.
Love y'all.
Much love.
Love you all.
Have an amazing
Love
day.
y'all. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day.
Love
Thank
you.
God.
Let's go.
Love y'all.
Love you
Have a
all.
wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody.
Love you all.
Blessed day. Thank you.
Yeah, I
Love you.
love y'all. Bye.
Bye.